Is it normal to not be sad about people dying? It's fine. People experience grief in different ways. How would you say your emotions are in other situations compared to your peers, or what is considered normal? Do you get excited for things? Look forward to good things in the future? Feel appropriate levels of sadness or anger when things don't go as you hoped, planned? Following. I'm interested in this feedback as well. You're not alone in feeling like your griefy emotions are muted. I don't know if it's healthy, but for me personally, the fact that I'm not at the mercy of overwhelming emotions has actually worked to my benefit. Throughout my life, I love my wife and child and experience joy and disappointment and anger normally, but when bad stuff happens, I just switch into management mode and calmly take care of things. When is the last time you can remember feeling very emotional? It can hit you like a truck months or years later. My mom, and very best friend in the world, passed 2 years ago suddenly. My dad passed away unexpectedly a month ago exactly. I cried the day it happened for both and have not been sad since. Everyone knows me as the emotional one in the family because I'm usually the first to break down. I don't know what changed for me to not be as emotional with them. But my therapist says it's perfectly normal to feel this way and that you process things in the best way for you. If any feelings come up, you should address them. Sad, mad, guilt, etc. It's the pushing back of these emotions that is an issue. I had issues before with suppressing them. In short, you are normal. You process things your way. I can recognize myself in this post, and I want to tell you that it might not always be like that. I was very unemotional, just as you described, until a couple of years ago. Now I'm way more emotional. Cry a lot easier and get sad when people die. For me it was my age and I think a past of bullying that made me so unemotional. So it could be something that passes, or that's just the way you are. It took me many years to figure out how I was feeling because I was intellectualizing. I would think really hard about how I was feeling, how I was supposed to feel, how other people in similar situations would feel. Thinking actually kept me further from understanding my emotions. Your emotions are physical. Some people feel sadness in their heart or stomach. Some feel dizzy from anger. Some people feel weighed down all over when they are scared. Pay attention to your body in the past. When you have been sad, where did you feel it? When I was 8 and my aunt died, I did not feel anything and thought I was weird. Now I'm 63 and have kids, which I think was the trigger for me. I cry at films, feel sorry for the people abused and used in other parts of the world, feel sick about pedophile priests, and even get emotional about sporting successes. I am not a big sports fan, or even women being finally recognized in the world of science and in the film about the black female computers at NASA. I cry tons when reading and watching The Time Traveler's Wife. My wife and kids take the piss out of my sapienus, go figure. Having said all that, when my mom died aged 89 and was ready for death, I was not particularly upset because she was lonely and pretty old. It's fine. My aunt took my father's death like yours, your friend. She worried that something was wrong with her because she did like her brother-in-law, and she wasn't feeling that sad. And then, about 2 years after his death, she was at a bar. Someone ordered a drink, and it occurred to her quite suddenly that her bill will never ever order any drink ever again. And she became a sobbing mess right then, right there, and unable to calm down for hours. Everyone processes differently. As some have said, everyone experiences grief in different ways. I don't cry when parents passed or when my grandparents passed. Some didn't like it, but that's their problem. What I can tell you is that talking helps. Don't bottle your emotions up. Doing so will ultimately hurt you in the long run. You can read about memento mori. It's something that is going to happen and you just need to accept it. You are a stoic. A stoic is someone who accepts that someone's tragedy, or in this case death, is out of your hand. You cannot control it, so you move on faster than any people. Some may say it's insensitive. I'm an extremely emotional person, but death doesn't do anything for me. In part, one think it's because I'm a nurse, and so when someone dies, I don't them at all, and I have no choice but to go back to work. I also actually think it's because I don't believe in an afterlife. I believe that once you are gone, you won't know or care. You're just gone, and I can't change that. However, I haven't ever lost anyone I interacted with more than once or twice a month. So who knows how I would feel if it was a good friend. Strangely enough, the death that got to me the most and actually changed me was a girl I barely knew. We went to high school together and only took one class together. Painting. I hated her because she was perfect and I was insecure. She was beautiful, friendly, and extremely talented. A couple years after graduating, I read that she drove into a pole and died. I was forced to confront the fact that I had let my fragile ego prevent me from getting to know such a great person. From then on, I learned that rather than distancing from these people, I should gravitate towards them, learn from them, tell them I admire them, and hopefully become the person I want to be. There's 3 options. A. You're suppressing it and it will come to punch you in the nuts at a later moment. B. Slightly sociopathic tendencies. C. There's so much other stuff you're going through going on, and so your B kick in. In any case, it wouldn't hurt if you'd maybe talk with a professional just to make sure you're all good with your hormonal levels and all that. The human body is a wonky patchwork in that our conscious mind is both somewhat in charge of it and a systemic function of the biochemistry within it is a whole other can of worms. So get your liquids checked and battery tested, and otherwise it is what it is. In January 1955, Camus wrote, "I summarized The Stranger a long time ago with a remark I admit was highly paradoxical. In our society, any man who does not weep at his mother's funeral runs the risk of being sentenced to death. I only meant that the hero of my book is condemned because he does not play the game." 2. Quote, like the others users put it, people process grief in different ways. Some ways have become, for better or worse, acceptable, like crying. We still don't know why our brains respond the way they do. Why do some people cackle with laughter at those silly monkey videos and at those cat videos, while others positively abhor them? Who knows? If you feel uncomfortable, I would venture forth and posit that it is a way your heart is telling you that this person meant something to you. That you aren't weeping is a different matter. A truly indifferent person wouldn't care at all. Least of all, ask if something is wrong with them on Reddit. P.S. As always, I would always recommend, whether in matters physical or mental, to consult a professional. If, that is, you still feel unable to reconcile your feelings to your satisfaction. Reddit advice should always be treated like fast food. It'll feed you, but it may not be all that nutritious. P. The last 2 family members who passed away were people I was only a bit close to, but shared good memories with and loved dearly. While I spent the first day quite shocked and crying a lot, I found that I was pretty much fine after that. I went back to work. I went to my mate's house for drinks. I felt fine. I still miss them, but I don't think about them much, and I often feel guilty as I see how distraught my family still are and how I haven't really felt much. I don't think it's a big deal. I think I just pushed my grief to the side without trying to, so I could carry on without crying all the time. Obviously, this isn't the exact experience you're having, but you're not a bad person or anything for not reacting like everyone else. You might not feel bad for quite a while, and maybe it will hit you later. If you're really worried, You could always ask your doctor about a therapist and let them know why. If this has been a common theme in your life, you could have alexithymia, the blanket term to describe problems with feeling emotions. Depression, PTSD, ASD, and lots of other disorders fall under this area. I recommend talking to a professional about it. Maybe hold off on talking to friends and family about it since they're not as likely to understand your thought processes if you don't have a proper diagnosis. I had a similar experience when I was in grade 12 and felt a very same reaction. For me it came later during random times like my sister's wedding, but don't think you're emotionally broken at all. I rarely experience any sadness when a human dies, but I'm a mess when a pet dies. I expected the normal sad emotions of a human death to maybe kick in when someone died that I was close to, but no. Even Mom had hardly any impact. A few tears and I was really trying to feel sad. I don't recommend it advertising, but I'd recommend talking to someone. Even just a friend, if it starts feeling like this is a secret you keep from the world that isn't good. And I always start feeling like it's a secret if I don't talk to anybody.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. TooAfraidToAsk is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.